What you're hearing is Hardie Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardie knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardie products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardie.
Thank y'all very much for tuning in to the No Fruit Podcast. I have a question for y'all. What happens when a choir president and a singer cross paths? Will sparks fly? We'll find out.
Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. No Fruit Podcast. We'll help your spirit transform.
Hey y'all, I asked a question. What happens when a choir president and a singer cross paths? What do you get? You get Kafka and Maurice.
Boom, boom.
I know, right? And so here's the reason why we're asking that. Sometimes you don't find many people in your life that share some of the same passions that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happened that Kafa and I share a love for music.
And for one another.
We only talk about music right now, Kafa.
You said we share a love. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just talking about a share of love and music. I mean, a share of love for music and ministry.
Yes.
So now here's the thing about music. We share the love of singing. We really miss our choir moments. We really miss some of our traveling with the choir and going to this church and that church and the camaraderie or whatever else. But there's one thing I really don't miss.
What's that?
Being around that same group of people for whatever reason. I guess in my old age, I kind of like being by myself. But Kaf and I, at that particular time, we did share that love of singing, of worshiping with our peers. But we did not know that from the very beginning, not based off of where we met. Because we met in another place, in another space. So it took some time for us to figure that part out, that we really shared a love for that, in my opinion. What's your thoughts, Kyle?
I think, again, we met in church at a church meeting. So not only was Maurice El Presidente of a choir, but he's also whatever your title was.
I was El Vice President.
El Vice. I was trying to say, how do you say Vice? But El Vice Presidente of a youth group. So yes, we met there, exchanged eye contact, I guess, before exchanging phone numbers and all that stuff. But anyway, I think when you go to church, a lot of times you are part of the choir, or you're part of the usher board, or you're part of something.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, after crossing paths a couple times, it found, Maurice was like, do you sing on the choir at your church? Like, what do you do at your church? Because I'm the church group, youth leader, and I need to know what you do at your church. So I explained, to him.
I don't know if it went that way, but I got you.
It's an interview. What do you do? So after explaining that, he was like, well, how come you're not a part of the mass choir? This citywide, all churches come together with their young people, and you should be a part of it. It's fun. It's hot. It's happening. So that's what
it's what's going on.
Right. So that's how things started. So I don't know that it was like, hey, you have a love for music or anything like that. It's just like, okay, well, you go to church, and I'm sure you're on a choir, so you need to be on this other choir. That's kind of how things happened. I think as for the love of music, again, liking to sing in church songs, gospel music was kind of hot, happening back then.
Right.
It still is now, but, it was kind of a new thing for the traditional type churches that we had gone to. And I think, when he and I met was the wonderful 90s, the latter part of it. And there was great R&B music, shout out to all those great 90s R&B artists that were then, I think. So as we dated, Maurice had, certainly displayed as we drove around the love of music. I don't think we necessarily were like in the 80s and like, I'm going to make you a mixtape or anything like that. But we did share some of that. I think we shared not only gospel music and enjoying that, not only R&B, but it went beyond that. Maurice was a musician because you played an instrument.
Yeah.
So I think your appreciation for music and, hearing instruments and things like that is a little bit different than mine. You hear that? I'm like, oh, it's just music. You don't hear that horn? No.
Yeah. To some degree, I have an ear for some of hearing some instruments. I don't hear everything. I don't hear every instrument. I don't hear every little piece. Can I get some notes and pull some notes or whatever? I can, but I'm nowhere near where my brother is with that. He's really the music person. Some of it, because of my mom, it dwindled, I got some of it. I didn't get all of it. And I didn't get the singing voice like my brother received, but I like music. And that was even to the point of where someone had even considered me to be an A&R, for a music group. And that group was when my brother signed with a production company, so I understood that. I understood music. I played trumpet for quite a few years. I tinkered with the drums and I tinkered with the piano. I mean, even now, like, a few years ago, I was producing some music and I actually had the opportunity to have one of my songs or beats or whatever put into a short film that I actually co-directed in. So from a music perspective, I've done something, but I haven't done as much as I probably could have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you as well. I think you can appreciate music.
Yeah, I would agree. I appreciate it. I'm just not musically inclined to be like, oh, that's a trumpet that's playing versus a clarinet. I mean, maybe I can tell the difference or whatever, but I don't know those types of things. I'm not that musical. I mean, I think as Maurice started to show, like, hey, a singer, I've been singing in school choir since first grade. Getting up to city choirs and things like that, where I at one particular time I could read and be like, okay, well, that's a high C and that's a whatever, and I kind of knew where to put my voice. Kind of come away from that now because I don't look at that at all.
I'm about to say, both of us are really kind of lazy in that music space right now.
I mean, I still can hit a soprano note. I don't think I can still do first soprano the way I did in elementary and high school. I guess if I practiced and, exercised that muscle, I might be able to, but I doubt it. Still can sing soprano, but I doubt that I can do, the Handel's Messiah first soprano notes would be difficult.
But I think when it comes to music as well, one of the things that I've had to learn, that one of the things that you've been appreciating since day one are musicals.
I was going to say I like musical. I mean, even I was going to go there too and say not only musicals, but classical music.
And I haven't always been as accepting of those forms of music, But what's funny, especially when it comes to classical music, I like really, really old hymns though.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
So, but I think what it is that when it comes to that, it's the when you think about some of the old hymns, it really could be performed in a classical way, but you get in churches you don't have all the classical instruments either.
Correct.
So so it's just, I guess it's kind of what you're exposed to and what you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but growing up being born in the mid 70s and growing up 70s and 80s and things like that, listen to Earth, Wind and Fire
Right.
and Parliament. I mean, those are the people that my mom listened to.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to hear some of those instruments and things like that.
Right.
And like I said, I mean, my mom was all city and band for like 3 different instruments. So, so I get it somewhat honestly, in that. And then it's funny because now, when you and I get married, I mean, we're dating and we are listening to, different genres of music. I mean, there's some that I just be like, I can't get down with that particular one being Western, like,
No, I had turned you on to a couple of Western
a
songs.
couple, but nowhere near like,
Yeah.
like when I listen, like, because she went to a PWI university, some of the songs that be coming on. So how many of you out there have actually sat down and played YouTube games
Mm-hmm.
where guess the song, right? And they're playing some of the songs where it's alternative or Western or whatever. I'm just like, yo, like, how do you know that song? She's like, do you consider what college I attended? And sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's just that period. Like, I can't say I know it now. But again, for those 4 years, those 9 months that I was in school, I was surrounded by certain music. Now, again, yes, I still had my Christian radio music and gospel and that type of thing. But when I went to a party or a gathering, and they would play music prior to the speaker coming out or whatever it was, yeah, I listened to some different music.
So some of you who are out there and we're talking about college and listen to music, why don't you think about getting College Days, the word search book?
Missing the good old college days? Relive those moments with the College Days word search book, a fun way to take a stroll down memory lane. Packed with puzzles inspired by campus life, late-night study sessions, and unforgettable friendships, it's perfect for alumni, students, and anyone who loves a good brain teaser. Grab your copy today at Amazon.com and bring the best days back to life, one word search at a time.
So, I created that book because I enjoy being in college. I listen to you talk about being in college,
Mm-hmm.
And our kids, being in college as well. So that was the inspiration of putting that book together.
Great.
But going back to the music, I think we really have a shared love for music. That's one of the things that we were able to vibe and brings us together.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that's something that understanding that there are different genres of music.
Right.
You can't listen to just one genre, and vibe, or feel like you're together. I think you have to be able to diversify and understand, hey, in that diversification, everyone likes something different, points out something different or whatever, and being able to appreciate the person next to you in them being individuals.
Right. I mean, like you said, or as I was saying, we met in the 90s. Marisa is a little bit younger than I am. So
Mhm.
the songs that he gravitates to are the songs that I guess maybe were playing when I was in college. So again, that's my PWI time. And so I didn't listen to necessarily the songs that he gravitates to for that period of time. And then there's times where I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this song. And he's like, I couldn't listen to that type thing. So, there's some differences there, but there's still that appreciation. There's still, with that, it's not like, oh, well, Dad, you don't know nothing about that. And, we flag it off. But it's like we have an appreciation for that music and can talk about it and embrace it and not, let it be a turnoff. Like, I think that's the thing that I'm hoping that everybody gets. We're talking about some of our similarities in our relationship being, hey, we both enjoy music. Hey, music is kind of what brought us together and which still does. But we may not always like the same thing. Maurice is not going to get down with contemporary Christian music, perhaps, or he may not get down with like some of the country songs or, bluegrass music. Because, he's like, is that a banjo they're playing?
Yeah.
So he may not, get down with all of that. But then there's some things I'm like,
yo, that is one banging jug. Like,
it doesn't make you want to get up and dance and whatever. But, yeah, I mean, still there's an appreciation for it. Like, I think, there's some songs that's just like, what? Like, why do you know these things? And, and as he said, like the musicals or whatever that is, there's just so much out there, and it's just a way of expressing yourself and expressing oneself, being that musician or that writer that wrote it and things like that. So, or it's just a catchy beat, or it's just a catchy hook. Like sometimes I don't know what the whole song is about, but it might be a catchy hook, and I'm at fault for that at times because I may not know the whole thing.
But you know what? It was funny since you said something about time frame. It's a lot of times when we're again looking at some of those YouTube game, music game things or whatever. And because she was in high school, a little earlier than I was. So she gravitates a little bit more. It's funny. Gravitates more to the leg warmer, multiple colors, bright color, neon, type stuff, where mine wasn't so much that.
Mm-hmm.
My time frame was right after that. So
you had the bright colors, but it was the bolder colors. So I guess I had the neon. I'm entering high school in the late 80s.
Yeah, we had primary colors. Y'all
yes, we had the hot fuchsia pinks and the turquoise and things like that. Like that was. That was what's on our Trapper Keeper. We had.
Yeah, right.
We had that Miami Vice thing going on with those colors. But then, like you said, you came in with the cross colors.
Right.
With the, reds and the greens and the yellows, a little more powerful of a statement. So, and I think that kind of lends to our personalities a little bit at times, where you're a little more bright, a little more bold, and I'm a little more subdued. I mean, even though neon can be bright, but it's pink. It's still a subtleness of a red or a subtleness of a blue. It's not the
where mine would probably just slap you in the face.
Right.
Yeah, I eat my fuchsia suit.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to bring it back up.
Yeah.
So
that's
those that don't know anything about the fuchsia suit, there are plenty of more other episodes. Just
you want to know about that? Sure. Yeah.
Just listen.
Rewind.
Yeah. There's information there about the fuchsia suit.
Now, there's something else as well that we share a love for when we talk about this music, more especially from a church perspective, but we share a love for ministry as a whole. I think that has really, even though music, like I kind of sold you coming onto the choir, right?
Right.
But ultimately, when it comes to ministry and helping people flourish and grow and transform, I think that's one thing that we definitely share a love for, but I think sometimes it hinders us.
I think it's also different, just like music is different for us. I
Yeah.
think the ministry is different. I think, as you were speaking, I think music is kind of our inward. It helps us inward. It's a deeper dive for us. It's a inward reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Where ministry, the way you're speaking about it, is our outward. It's how we give out and we, pour out to others.
Right.
Yes, there's music ministry where you can minister to others in music and in song. But I think just in general, our ministry of helping others and pouring out to others, at times it's different. The way I might pour out to someone is different than the way that Maurice may pour out to someone. He may pour out and I'm like, oh, that's a bit much. And I may pour out and he's like, yo, that's way, like you
Pull back
a little bit. So we both have that desire to give that of ourselves, our time, our energy, and things like that in order to help somebody else. And that's a great thing, and it's things that we sometimes, they are in alignment and we do certain things together, like this podcast is a
Right.
ministry deep down inside. But then there's times when we sit down and we're doing our planning for this, and it's just like, he's thinking one thing and I'm thinking something else. But
when 1 and 2 come together.
right, God is in the midst and it all
Right.
works out.
Now,
Regardless of what we said beforehand, like, well, we're going to do this and I'm going to do this and you're going to do this part. And then we sit down behind this microphone and
it all goes out the window.
it changes.
Not all out the window,
Yeah.
but and listen, let's clear this up. I understand where it says 2 and 3, but we're talking about this podcast. There's only 1 or 2 of us. So
But don't we have our listeners? That makes it 3.
okay, we're 1, 2, and 20 are gathered.
20 million.
Yes. So
So we're so happy that you're all here with us, listening to us rant and rave about all this.
so how many of you that are couples, and it does not mean that you have to be married, doesn't mean you have to be together for the last 30 years, nothing like that. But for those of you that are out there that's listening, what is it that you and your partner share a love for? We talked about 2, being ministry and music. Some
each
parts
other.
are good. Some parts are challenging, right? But we understand that in those spaces, it makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to respect the differences, I think is key. I really think it's key. And it allows, in all honesty, moment for communication to be had, and then understanding can begin.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
a great point.
So thank you. Why, thank you, my darling. So I believe that why are you laughing? Smiling like that. I'm sorry. So I do believe that each of us needs to evaluate that. Especially in times like these. If you have somebody, try to understand where they're coming from, what they believe in, how they're maneuvering, and maybe that you could find some commonality even in the difference. Because I wasn't a musical person, not like that. And then one day, I really sat there. She was watching Grease, and Grease turned my life around. Wop bop a loop bop.
A white bamboo.
So yeah, and what it was is that for me, just like when we talk about ministry, when we talk about preaching, when we talk about singing or whatever else, you could find 1 or 2 things that grabs your attention. Now, guess what? All of it just might. And when you turn to your right or your left, and you see your partner really enjoying themselves, you just want to be a part of that atmosphere.
Right. I'm going to say, that was what I was going to say. Even if you don't understand them and understand what they like, find a way to appreciate it. Because if you love that person, you should be able to find a way to appreciate the things that that they're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our challenge for everybody, even in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to appreciate one another. You don't have to agree. You don't have to be on the same page and, all the time, but just appreciate where everyone is at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Express yourself. I'm sorry. Gotta be you and only you, baby. I'm sorry.
He can you see where the music comes in for him?
It is 100% of the time. There's a song, that goes with everything.
Yes. And, and it's really funny because when Maurice and I were dating, let me just say this, when it comes to musicals, was it we were dating? Maybe not. I think when the kids were little. And, he would just burst out in these songs or I would burst out in these songs. And it's just like, we live in an opera.
100% of the time.
Whatever our life was like an opera, like every day, like we just had to burst out.
And for whatever reason, we don't do that as often
as
now.
we used to, yeah.
But I can guarantee that if we did that again, like we really need to videotape ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could really literally sing everything that we do in our life every day. There's a song. Now, even for the way you're looking at me.
There's a reference song, yes. I was going to say, I'm not going to sing it like in the
opera.
opera.
No.
Like,
we're going to sing. I mean, we don't have to sing in opera. We could sing the actual,
You have a reference song to go with what, yes, that's different. That's like musical, like that's not like opera where there are no spoken words. Everything is.
Oh, no. I mean, but we could definitely, sing the song, the actual song, and know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
I.e., when on this podcast, I just have a song that I don't care what you say, what you think, or whatever. I always have a song that goes with it.
Okay.
100% of the time.
100.
So, yeah. So I thank y'all very much. Like right now, I don't know why I have the Crystal Water song in my head. Never mind. You frowned up. I ain't gonna go there like that.
I mean, I know who she is, but I'm like, how does that song go? I mean,
maybe it's because it's the feeling that's within me. Okay. We thank y'all very much.
Yes, we thank you for listening. Please let us know what things you have in common, what things you're working on, what things you're appreciating.
Right.
About one another and your relationships.
And we will talk to you later.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. We hope today's discussion left you feeling uplifted, encouraged, and ready to take on life's journey with purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. You can catch up on past episodes, send us your thoughts, or learn more about us on social media. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time.